Hello, welcome. I am Vicky Manitou Okas, and today I am going to solve a problem. Last summer I started my second batch of ointment that I use late in the summer. And normally I sun brew this for about 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks, depends on the weather. And last summer was very chaotic in the weather, and I did not get the full 4 weeks in to get the brew that I want for Manitou's answer. So I'm going to finish that up. It's end of January, and I finally have time to finish that up inside. So we're going to do that in the crock pot today. It's not my preference, but it works. And if you can't brew what you want in the sun brew or the way that you want to, you find alternatives. So this is what we're doing today. We're going to take I start with coconut oil because it's got body and it used to be inexpensive. And then I brew the comfrey root and willow bark in the coconut oil in the sun for 4 to 6 weeks, depending upon the weather. So we're going to take that all out of the jar today and put it in a crock pot and finish the brew, and then finish the ointment today. So we'll go through the entire process. It will take the whole process is going to take 4 to 5 hours. So I will show this video will show each step in the way. And thank you, and I hope you enjoy this demonstration. So we will join this back up at the next step. Okay, so what I am going to do is take the coconut oil with the comfrey root and willow bark out of the container that I was trying to brew it in, and I'm going to put it in the crock pot. So we're going to dig all of that out of there. And it's going to go into this little crock pot. There we go, it's coming out. I think I need to get a knife to get the rest of that out of there. Just use a table knife to break that up a little bit. This jar is a little bit rough because it was sitting outside in the sun trying to sun brew this, because the coconut oil has a fairly low melt point. I like using it for this because of its low melt point, it stays kind of solid and creamy at room temperature, and with a little bit of beeswax, it works nicely for a little bit warmer temperatures too, and it is really easy to use and apply to the skin. Okay, see, that's the comfrey root and the willow bark coming out now, and I will go ahead and finish getting the rest of this out of here. Okay, and I am going to turn this crock pot on low, just as low as it'll go, and there, on low, and this will melt down, and I will let this brew on low for about 4 hours. If I think it's getting too hot, I will turn it off for a while and then turn it back on to just to keep it. I want it warm to the touch, but not scalding hot, to finish infusing the herbs into the oil. So yeah, I don't like doing it this way. I prefer to sun brew it, but when things don't work out quite the way I intend it to, this will work. So this jar is really rough. I am going to throw that away and clean up the knife and the spoon, and we'll be back in a few hours to finish the ointment. Okay, it has been about 3 hours now, and I am about ready to strain the ointment, but before I do that, I'm going to get my wax ready. So I bought, this was a 1 ounce or 1 pound block of wax, and this is all I've got left of it. So what I'm cutting off right now is about 1 ounce. And very carefully, I'm cutting off that ounce, so I don't want to damage the knife, the cutting board, the table, or mostly my hands. So this is a very delicate process that you have to be very careful if you're using a block. And it is, as I'm working it, I'm going back and forth. This is a very sturdy knife, and when some breaks off, I just pull it aside. And go straight down. Just work it straight down gently. Now you can use there are heated cutters that you can use, or a grater, but if you use a grater, that is going to leave wax in your grater. So make sure you're using if you use something like a grater, make sure it is dedicated to this type of purpose, because it is very difficult to get beeswax out of equipment. There we go. repack this. I'll put that back away. Chop this up a bit. Okay, you can buy beeswax pellets. You can buy coins. There's a lot of ways you can buy beeswax. But you want it broken up enough that it will melt in the oil. Be very careful. You do not want unintentional colorants in your ointment. This is something that can very easily slip. If you're not used to doing this, I would use pellets instead of chunk wax. But I bought this directly from a grower, which is how I like to get things. Support your local growers. All right, that's good enough for my purposes. It'll just take a little while for that to melt. Okay. Set this aside. Okay. I've been turning the oil on and off about every half an hour once it warmed up so that it didn't get too hot. Right now it is nice and warm. Okay, that temperature is a little bit warmer than what I want to handle. So protect my fingers. Okay, and pour that through a strainer. Let that drain a bit. While that's draining, I'm going to clean the rest of the herbs out of the crock. Okay, I do not want to use water to clean this up, because I don't want the water in the ointment. Okay. All right, that's looking really good. Okay. Those I will just pitch, throw away. Okay, wash this off my hands. Okay. All right. Now that the infused oil is strained and the crock is cleaned up, I am going to return the oil to the crock. Okay. Add the beeswax. About an ounce of beeswax for a quart of oil, give or take. All that does is gives the ointment a little bit more body. So it's not that big of a deal in cold weather, but when it gets hot, or if you're using, you can use a variety of different oils for this. I use coconut oil because it already has good body, but you can use olive oil, and a lot of people, that's what a lot of people use, is olive oil, and that's a good oil to use. It is a little bit easier, especially in cooler weather, to infuse in olive oil. The other reason I've in the past used coconut oil is it's a little less expensive than olive oil is. So I'm going to put that back on the heat, and I'm just going to heat that long enough to melt that wax and mix that wax in. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, we are back, and it only took about a half an hour to melt those big chunks of beeswax and get that fully incorporated into the infused oil. So we're ready to go to the next step. So I am going to pour this back into the pitcher. Okay. And you always want to let that cool down just a little bit. You don't want to put the essential oils into very, very hot liquid. So I want to make sure that I can touch that, and I can. Okay. You can do this in a double boiler. But a lot of times in a double boiler, you're heating it faster and your oils are a lot hotter. You need to let this cool down just a little bit before you put the essential oils in it. So I work by dropperful, and these are just 3-inch medicine droppers. I want to work a little bit quickly. So we're going to go 6 droppers. And those aren't full. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and those were about half full, so I'm going to add 2 more. This is peppermint oil, and that is for pain relief and anti-inflammatory. 6 dropperfuls of eucalyptus oil. These are essential oils, and the better quality essential oil you can use, the better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and again those were only about half full, so I'm going to add 2 more. So I want a total of 6 full dropperfuls. Okay, next is tea tree oil. And tea tree is, actually I'm going to put rosemary oil in before the tea tree oil. Okay, there's a reason for that. But okay, rosemary is an antioxidant and an anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to put 3. Again, that's only about half full, but I want 3 full dropperfuls of rosemary oil. Three. So those are half full. Looks like I'm about out of rosemary oil. There you go. About 3 rosemary oil and 3 of the tea tree oil. Okay. I did not want to get tea tree oil into the rosemary oil. Okay, 3 full dropperfuls of tea tree oil. Again, those are about half full. Okay, that is an anti-inflammatory. And it's really easy to look up the properties of these oils online. Every single one of these is an anti-inflammatory, and some of them have analgesic effects. Okay. Next is lavender essential oil. Lavender is a relaxant. Okay, 3 dropperfuls of lavender. Those are a little bit fuller. That would be about 3 full dropperfuls. And the last one is thyme essential oil. And thyme is another anti-inflammatory. Oops. 2. There we go, 3. Okay. Alrighty, and mix that up really well. Okay, so it is just starting to congeal a little bit. Mixing it well warmed everything up so that it is nice and blended. Okay, so I want to immediately, do not wait, jar this. You want to jar this while this is warm. Okay. All right, I've got friends and family that I give this away to. So I'm going to put a little bit in this one. To give away. Oh, it's definitely full. These are just recycled medicine bottles that I will give away. Here it is. All right, one more. All right, there we go. This is for topical use only, okay? But there's nothing in there that is highly problematic. So as long as I get this equipment cleaned up really, really well, then it will be safe to use. But best practice is to do your topicals in dedicated equipment. So these two jars will never be used for anything other than the ointment or something similar. The crock pot is non-porous, so it can be cleaned up very well. The recycled medicine bottles, they will just get thrown away when they're done with them. And the glass, anything that's glass or stainless steel, cleans up very well. So always be safe. And if you're using a double boiler, you cannot walk away from it. Okay? You have to, if you're using a double boiler for warming stuff up, you must stay with it. Never direct heat things like these oils and wax directly on the stove. Always use a crock pot on low or a double boiler to do this type of work. So, all right, the ointment is done and everything is cleaned up in the kitchen. So I just thought I'd take a couple of minutes and discuss what I just got done doing. So I started making this ointment for myself because I've got knee injuries and I've got joint injuries in several places in my body. My knees are bone on bone and I've got cartilage damage in both shoulders, and I've got a injury in my neck that sometimes the vertebrae go out of alignment, and that is a little bit painful. So I make this ointment very, very strong. Okay. And this is for topical use only, and only for only use a small amount of it in various different spots on your body. Never ingest it. Okay, never ingest this formula for any reason whatsoever. So, and do not use it at this strength over your entire body. So I use it on my knees, I use it on my shoulders, and occasionally I use it on the back of my neck. So, now the other thing you need to watch is that comfrey is a tissue regenerator. So you do not want to use this formula on any deep wound. Okay, but I do occasionally use it on, let's see that, cracks in the fingers and that different stuff. And I've got a little bit of arthritis in my hands. So the picture is still got, looks like a lot of liniment in there, or a lot of ointment in there. So I'm going to show you how I use it. Okay, just a little bit on the spoon. Okay, just a little tiny bit on the finger, and that is enough for both hands. So for the arthritis in my joints from overuse and injuries to my hands, okay, and that will soak in just a few minutes. You can smell that the herbs in there, but yeah, this is not something to overuse. But with my knee injuries, I do it very strong for my knees. So at any rate, if you don't have serious pain issues, tone this down a little bit. Okay, about half of what I put in, and I will. The recipe for this, as I make it, will be in Delectable Tiny Gardens, the meeting place, in the tools and resources. So, hey, come and join us and come play in the dirt with us, and I would love to see you there. All right, thank you, and hey, subscribe, and hit the like button. So, all right, thank you, and we will talk to you next time.